Welcome to the Somos Sunnyside podcast, brought to you by the Office of Public Information, where we are sharing stories about the bright side of education.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Somos Sunnyside. Today we are coming to you from Sunnyside High School, and we are visiting the auto collision facility here at Sunnyside High School. Auto collision is a course students can take, so I have the honor and privilege to introduce Mr. Armando Escalante, your instructor here. How are you, Mr. Escalante?
I'm well.
Good. So we're gonna get into the career of Mr. Escalante here in a second, but I did also want to introduce, the beauty of doing these podcasts and doing them at the sites is not only do we want to highlight programs, but we want to highlight our students as well. And we have the pleasure of introducing to you Mr. Ariel Acosta, who's a senior at Sunnyside High School. How are you, Ariel?
I'm good.
All right. So, the highlight today is definitely telling our story, right? Telling the listeners out there what Sunnyside has to offer. And this is just one of many career and technical education courses offered here at Sunnyside High School. And again, this is auto collision. So let's start first with Mr. Escalante. Mr. Escalante, what year is this for you? Because I know you've been here since I came to school here, and I think I graduated about 32 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that because we want to know your age. You can look, whatever it is, you look good for your age.
Well, thank you.
But tell us a little bit about when you arrived here at Sunnyside High School and how long you've been here, and just tell us a little bit about your journey.
Okay. I started here in 1985. This will be my 40th year in May. It's been a wonderful journey. I really enjoy what I do. I love my job. I think the best part is seeing these youngsters succeed and go out there and compete and, gainfully employed. And some of them continue their education. Sky's the limit.
Absolutely. I think one of the things I love about, talking to you is how much you deeply care about, the youth and the students here in the Sunnyside community and Sunnyside High School. I mean, you've taught generations now, right? Oh, yeah. You've been here 40 years. I mean, so you've got to be like in our top 10 of probably most years served in the district, and you're still doing it and doing it at a high level. So when I talk about generations, one of the things that you bring up a lot is what you deeply care about is students leaving here and being able to be successful on their own, right? Mm-hmm. Making a living, being able to earn a good salary and because of the skill sets they learn here. And, you've taught fathers and mothers and maybe some tatas and tatas now, right? But talk to us a little bit about that, and we'll get to Ariel here in a second. But tell me a little bit about why is that your passion? I mean, why do you care so much about that piece?
Oh, I love it when these students leave and they go out there and then they're gainfully employed. Then they come back to the community, which is very important to me. And then they're working and they're purchasing a house, and then they start raising a family, and their children come to school at Sunnyside, and I see the last name and it's like, hey, so-and-so, your dad or your mom. Oh, yeah, and I always inquire about the parents. We do very well, and I'm honored when the students come to me, the children of my former students. Mm-hmm. And we also keep in contact with some of the former students. We have that connection. So a lot of times, too, if I have a question for the parents, and the parents already know me, so if they need to tell their children or their child something like, hey, we know Mr. Escalante,
That's
and
right.
We know what he does, and so forth. But yeah, it validates my job. I love what I do, and when I see them out in the community and they're successful, that's the biggest payoff. I tell everybody I'm wealthy, but wealthy in the way that the money that they're earning.
Absolutely.
And I think I'm a millionaire easy with all the money that they generate for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, I mean, you got individuals that are working in shops, and you have individuals that own their own shops. But for our listeners that are wondering about what auto collision is, I want to hear it from a student standpoint. So we have Ariel Acosta here, senior at Sunnyside High School, and this young man is well on his way. He's done an amazing job academically. He's number 8 in his class of about, I know, over 400 seniors here at Sunnyside High School. So, Ariel, tell us a bit about why you enjoy being in this class. I mean, what year are you? I know there's a sequence in terms of auto collision, and what experiences are you learning here?
Yeah, so I've been in automotive collision for about 4 years now, actually. I started off as a freshman, and I was pretty nervous at first. This being my fourth year, I'm advanced application, so I'm well on my way to,
You're running things, huh?
yeah,
You're the man
basically,
here, huh?
I'm basically like a second teacher. I am actually TA for his third period,
Okay,
so I
okay.
come in, help
You
out
can't
the.
get enough, huh?
Yeah, I can't get enough of
Good.
working out in the shop. I come in, help the other students, and I tell them, you're gonna be nervous at first, you're gonna be scared to mess up. But that's all a part of learning. It's okay to make mistakes, Mr. Escalante here, he's not one of those people who's gonna beat you down for making a mistake. He's gonna tell you it's all right, and he's gonna show you how to fix it. Last year, I wrecked my car, unfortunately, and Escalante told me to come bring it in, and the next day we were basically working on it. We were tearing down fenders, the hood, pulling the frame back. It's been a journey being here, and I've enjoyed every step of it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, I love that you bring up this piece of not afraid to fail, not afraid to make mistakes, because this is where you learn, right? You should be able to make mistakes, and Mr. Escalante is not gonna, get on you for that. He's gonna want you to fix it. He's gonna talk you. He ain't gonna do it for you, but he's gonna talk you through it. And because I've seen him in action, I've seen him work with kids, and he'll ask those questions to get students thinking of, okay, how do I solve this? And so it's an important skill set, to have. And obviously one of the benefits from being in this class and learning things is you can work on your own car, as you mentioned, right? But I want to talk a little bit more about the courses, because for our parents out there, for our students out there, so we have, if you could name them, Mr. Escalante, so I know you got beginning auto, right? And then what's after first year auto course?
Intermediate,
So you have intermediate,
and then advanced,
okay.
and then advanced applications.
Okay, so there's
And
4 sections,
4 levels.
4 levels.
And then each level is a year long, 2 semesters.
Okay.
So,
So what type of I'm sure there's certifications that can be earned, right?
Yes, sir.
Through these programs. And one of the beauties about our college and career academies is when you enter that pathway and you complete a sequence. We always talk about the big 3 of you possibility to earn some college credit, the possibility of earning a certification to be work ready, and then the possibility of having an internship or work experience. I know you have partnerships with certain local companies and stuff like that. So what does that look like for a student? So either one of you, if you want to jump on that question, maybe we hear from Mr. Escalante first. What, in terms of sky's the limit for these students, I'm sure there's a lot of benefits from those that want to be sequence completers, but also benefits for those that just say, hey, you know what, I want to learn a little bit about it, right? Maybe it's not going to be my career, but I want to be able to fix a little ding on my car, right? And stuff like that, or a big ding.
yeah, the most important thing, if you want to work on your own vehicle, once you have your driver's license, if you want to repair it, we can help you do that. We do the outside of the car, the body work, the painting. We can also do mechanical. So if you need to replace a starter, water pump, we can do that too. I try to show them a little bit of everything. That way, if they land somewhere, they're like, hey, I feel comfortable. I know how to do these things. As far as internships, we do have one called Caliber Collision. It's a 2-year program. They're paying you while you're learning. And then after 2 years, you go on your own for the same company. And so we have that. During the day, during the school day, if a student wants to get a job with like AutoZone, for instance, I have lots of business contacts, and we can get you going that way. So it's a win-win situation. A lot of times too, employers are calling me late May, June. Hey, we need some students at our body shop, and I was like, hey, you need to be here sooner recruiting. You need to be here February and March. To express, hey, we're interested in you, we need you, and we have a career waiting for you. So, and then we have students that end up, for instance, a couple of them paint airplanes for Bombardier. So they paint huge aircraft.
Yeah.
I have a student that builds cell phone tree towers. He's got 12 employees. I've got some that are body shop owners, some are body shop managers, and so they end up all over the place.
Yeah.
So, but there's plenty of opportunities. The amount of work performed on these cars is in the billions of dollars per year. Right. And like for us, the collision industry, there's usually a collision every 8 seconds. So if you're to count 8 seconds,
I'm gonna
somebody
knock
had a
on wood,
fender
man. I get no bad juju on the way out here.
Yeah, so, but yeah. and
So
we're-
what about the certification? So if you have a sequence completer, I'm imagining Ariel is going to be a completer. What is the title of the certification? And I guess what is that certification business leaders are asking for, right? Because I think it's, once it's a lot easier for them to hire people that are already certified than have to train them, right? I mean, that's the whole. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I currently have 2 certifications in this class. I am ASC certified, so I got my beginner certification. I can go work at the Caliber Collision. I can go under their wing, be an apprentice. And then from there, they can help me get more ASC certifications. So the actual ASC certifications that will allow me to go work for an actual body shop. I won't be, held back by certain knowledge. They'll help me move forward. I also have my Skills USA certification. So that is the state certification you get for completing this course. And honestly, the tests, they're not that hard if you've been paying attention in the class. A lot of people may say that, and you go try it, you fail the test. But this one, just pay attention. That's all you really need to do.
Put some effort into it.
Put some effort into it, yeah. And it's not like Escalante is going to sit here and tell you, oh, write this down, throw it away later. He's going to tell you, write this down, and I need you to keep it. I've seen a lot of students come in and out of this course. Some have stayed, some have left. And most of them say, oh, it's too hard, I don't know what I'm doing. And I tell them, it's not that hard. You just got to put a little bit more effort into it. You have to have sort of a passion for what you're doing. If you don't have a passion for what you're doing, you should really reconsider, what you are,
what you're pursuing.
Pursuing, yes.
Absolutely. I mean, I truly believe in this saying. I remember an old coach told me this one time. He's like, you get out of it what you put into it, right? You put a lot of effort into it, you get a lot out of it. And if you put very little into it, well, that's your result, right? Very little,
yes.
Very little. So we are going to take a quick break. Don't go away. We want to learn more about the auto collision program here at Sunnyside High School with instructor Mr. Armando Escalante and student Ariel Acosta. So we'll be right back.
Sunnyside students can have it all, learning and growing to graduate college, career, and community ready. Don't believe us? Just watch. At Sunnyside Unified School District, we are preparing our graduates with real-world skills and experiences. Our graduates are leaving Sunnyside to pursue an Ivy League education, becoming collegiate-level athletes, and earning prestigious scholarships such as the Gates Millennium, Dell, and Dorrance.
So, we were talking about the sequence and earning certifications. I think this piece of, we talk about college and career and community ready at this district, right? And I think, courses like this can give you all three, if that's what you choose to pursue. It's definitely a course that will prepare you if you want to continue to study. It's a course that will prepare you to be, workforce ready with the certifications, or you can do both, right? I mean, I love hearing the stories of our students that have gone, forward and they own their own businesses, and some of them work for certain companies, engineering companies, making, good money and being able to provide for their lives. And so we, definitely want to, thank Mr. Escalante here. He's definitely super humble. Last year I remember you being honored as a legendary teacher. It was cool to see that. It was cool to recognize you in front of the board. We did a board recognition, and that's the least we can do for all the years that you have dedicated to this community. The impact you've had in this community has been just outstanding. Not too many people can say, hey, I spent my whole career here, in this building, in this district, and here you are 40 years later, still doing it, at a high level. And so want to congratulate you, for that, and thank you for that. one of the cool, sometimes, we have opportunities to do cool projects, and I know one of them was, we worked with like TPD, right? And I say we act like I'm over here, working with you guys, but you guys, right, and the district, you have that partnership where you've worked on some of their vehicles. I know we had a lowrider project. TPD has like a lowrider vehicle they're working on, and they're going to use it. It's one of those community partnerships they do, and even Chief Kazmar was here, right, one day helping out and rolled up his sleeves, not afraid to roll up his sleeves, and working on vehicles. So tell us a bit about those projects and those partnerships that you've been able to be a part of.
We do a lot of community service projects. I think one of the requirements for our seniors are capstone projects. So as part of their senior graduation requirement. So we're always taking on, some community projects. TPD is one of the examples. We've also repainted some of their squad cars, the ones that you see on the street. Some of the cars were peeling paint, so we were able to repaint the white portion and clean them up.
Tucson Sun does a number to that paint, huh?
Yeah, and then we've been very fortunate because we have a connection with Bombardier, and sometimes they'll give us some of their paint.
Okay.
And if the paint is more than 5 years old, they can't use it on aircraft. So it's perfectly good for automobiles. Automobiles aren't going to fall out of the sky.
That's right.
So we did. So everybody wins.
Yeah.
But that's having that connection with community and business and industry, and having those contacts.
Yeah, it was neat to see the officers in the shop. I happened to be able to show up one of the few days they were here, and just interacting with the students, right? And that just had in conversation, although they were in uniform, it was down to earth conversations. So Ariel, do you remember that day when you were a part of that project? And it was, what was that like for you from a student standpoint?
Well, from a student standpoint, I thought it was pretty cool that the TPD was actually coming to us to paint their vehicles. It was very inspiring. Like, it shows what your work can do for the people. So, by helping out the TPD, it gets our name out there. A lot of people see, oh, look at that car. I wonder who painted it.
Right.
And they say, oh, well, Sunnyside did. It just shows that we're really making an impact on the community. Where I work at AutoZone, there's usually a car show every first Saturday of the month.
Okay.
And the lowrider cop car that we had worked on happened to be there.
Oh, nice.
And thankfully the police officer who was there recognized me, and he said, you worked on this?
Was that Officer Pina?
I believe so.
Okay,
yeah.
He's like the mayor, man. He knows everybody.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool. Everyone.
And that's a compliment, Mr. Pina. So don't go pulling me over next time you see me. So hey, are you speaking of that? Like, it was good to meet some cops, right? So you'd be able to, you ever get pulled over, you can drop some names and maybe get out of a ticket or something, right?
Yeah. I mean, my cousin was also a police officer too. So
that's not advice to our listeners.
Yeah.
We're just joking, but no, it is definitely good to make connections like that, right? I mean, just because you never know, you never know, word of mouth, and it's something, as you mentioned it, you said it very nicely. It's a community service project, right? Where you do this for the community, you partner with the community, and I think for the officers too. I mean, they want people to see them as human beings, as good people. They're not just handcuffing people and throwing them in jail. It's not like that. And so I'm proud to say that Sunnyside has a good relationship with law enforcement. They've been good partners of ours, and we make it real clear with them that we want you to work together with us and work with our communities and our students. And so, Ariel, just you're so well spoken. You're mature, way beyond your age, and super impressed with just how you articulate, just your experience. And so, for those students that are curious about auto collision, especially our 8th graders, our 9th graders that are going to start making decisions on what classes they're going to be taking. What's your advice to them? What should they expect, and what are some words of encouragement for them?
Well, what I can tell you is that if you like to get your hands busy, this is the course for you. Like, I know a lot of students have a hard time focusing on paper, sitting on the computer all day. You just want to get up and move. this class is what you would want to take. You're expanding your knowledge constantly. You're not stuck in one spot. You have people around you learning as well. You can learn from other people. They can learn from you. You're not really bound by anything.
Yeah. So talk about the hands-on stuff, because the thing I love about our CTE courses or JTED courses out here is we have cool toys, man. Right? I mean, we got some cool things in our shops. No matter if it's auto collision or automotive, or it's the law academy, or our EMT, medical service academy. Talk about some of the things you get to do in here. Some of the toys you get to play with. That probably a lot of it is state of the art equipment, right, Mr. Escalante, in terms of what you guys have. And the neat thing is, there's a classroom here, right?
Right.
And again, we're here sitting in the classroom doing this podcast, and then you have what we call like the lab, right? The shop.
Correct.
I should call it the shop, right? The shop that's right outside or right next door, where you transfer your knowledge of I'm here in the classroom learning things, and then now I'm going to go try them out right in the shop.
Yeah, so a few of the things or the equipment that we do use, my favorite would probably have to be the Unispotter. Okay. So the Unispotter gets these little small dowel pins, and what you do is if you have a small dent in your car and you can't pop it out, you're doing everything you can actually stick one of those things on there, hold it for about, the way we do it, we do 1001, 1002, 1003. And you don't want to go too long on it because it will burn a hole in the metal. Mm-hmm. And with these newer cars, the metal is very finicky. Yeah. So he teaches us how to use that. That could take out small dents. We use body filler. So body filler is actually the first thing we learn to use when starting this class.
Is that also Bondo?
Ooh, Mr. will get upset if you call it Bondo.
Oh, you will?
Yeah.
Man, so that just tells you how much my knowledge, how advanced I am here.
Yeah, so we get to use body filler that fills
body
in
filler, guys. Get that right.
The harder, small dents, you want to hide them quickly. You could do that. We learn to paint. We have paint guns here, which is actually pretty cool. In the beginning of the year, we put dents in the hood. We do body filler, and then we sand those down, make sure they're flush with the whole body panel that you're working on. And then we primer it. And then we sand that, get it ready for paint, and then we'll paint that. So that's one of the many things we get to do. Welding, we also get to weld. Mr. Escalante is very adamant about safety when it comes to welding. Welding is one of those things where you don't want to not have your safety protection on because it will mess up your eyesight. Yeah.
Wow, man, you got the whole gamut of things, right? So you do some mechanical work, some welding. You got auto body, and so it's those are just so skill sets that are just you will be able to use in life, right?
Yes, of course.
Definitely will be able to use it. And if not, unfortunately, everyone will have to deal with some sort of ding in their car, right, throughout their lifetime, whether it's a mechanical issue or an auto body issue. And by taking this class, I think at least you have an idea of what it takes to fix, or what it's going to take for someone else to fix it, right? And have some knowledge on that. So, what's your message to the community out there, to parents, in terms of the benefits from this class? Mr. Escalante, as you mentioned earlier, you've taught generations here. These are skill sets that are important. Any comments or messages to students or parents that are interested in the program?
Yeah, the technology has changed a lot in the last 30, 40 years. So that's one of the things you have to stay up with the newest trends on repairing automobile bodies. So today's vehicles, aluminum, plastics, you need to learn the correct repair procedures. Some of the old techniques, you don't use them anymore.
Cars aren't made like they used to be, right? Before they were metal tin boxes, and now they're like, different metals and different types of, some aren't even metal, right? Aluminums and
alloys.
Yeah, alloys.
So we have some new equipment. It's called GPR, glue pull repair. So basically we can pull dents without having to paint or do body work. Oh, wow. So you just hot glue and special pullers, and you have to work with different temperatures. You have to heat up a panel to 125 degrees. Aluminum is one of those exotic metals. The Ford F-150s, it's all aluminum. So, yeah, we can't wait to work on that Ford truck outside, that big one, that F-250.
I hope it never gets a dent.
So,
Knock on wood here.
yeah. But yeah, some of the technology these days is changing.
Yeah,
So
I
we
can
have to-
imagine. And so for you to learn that, obviously you probably got to go to different trainings and stuff like that each year, right?
You have to stay updated and
Yeah.
stay with the latest trends. And I
Uh-huh.
go out of my way to learn these new techniques.
So how has it evolved since, when you talk about joining, came on as a teacher in 1985 and now we're in 2025, if you give us a little timeline, how much has the class changed in terms of learning?
Quite a bit. The materials have changed. The
Uh-huh.
technology has changed. For instance, if you had a run in a paint from the 80s, you'd have to wait 2 days before you could repair it. Otherwise, it would be solvent sensitive and it'd wrinkle. So these days, you can spray something, and if you make a boo-boo, let it dry, re-sand it, and then reshoot it. And then within 20 minutes or so, you can clear coat it. And so we do have a clear that's called UPC 15. I haven't tried it yet, but supposedly after 15 minutes, you can polish that clear. And the old technology, you'd have to wait a day or two before you even touched it. So speed is one of them. And so once chemicals work faster, the technician can work quicker, and then you can essentially earn more. So, but you have to be quick and you have to be good at what you do at your craft.
Well, you've heard it here. There's a lot to learn. And you can get your hands dirty and learn how to work on your car, all aspects of the car, right? And so, before we break here, just any last comments, any shout outs to people, any thoughts that you want to put out there about the program or about your experience here?
If you do plan on joining auto body, which I hope you do join on planning, just know that Escalante is one of the best that you can learn from. Throughout my 4 years, I've never felt misguided. I've never felt like I was lost in this class. I always knew that I knew where I belonged.
He didn't pay you to say that.
No, he doesn't pay me to do.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No. And you're right on. You're spot on. I've heard so many great things about Mr. Escalante, and that's why he's been doing it for 4 decades, right?
Right, yeah.
And so to those listeners out there, I hope you guys check out this podcast and hit the like button, leave your comments there, because I'm sure Mr. Escalante would love to check them out, right? I mean, when you think about it, man, I graduated in 1992, and you were already doing this for several years, and so. I remember this was definitely a popular class back then when I was in high school, and still is, and so, we're very fortunate to have you, Mr. Escalante, doing this all these years. And any last comments you want to leave our listeners with?
The earning potential out there is sky's the limit. If you want to make 6 figures, you can easily gain that. And so, yeah. If you like working with your hands or in the shop area or working with automobiles, I do. I love it.
That's awesome. Well, we want to thank you. We also want to thank your wife, Rita Martinez, who also worked here at Sunnyside many years ago and was an instructor herself for, letting us borrow you for all these years. I'm sure, like all educators, we spend a lot of time away from home, because we're so passionate about our jobs, and it's clearly evident that you are. And so, you heard it here, so listeners, give Mr. Escalante a shout out, give Mr. Ariel Acosta here a shout out. It seems like you have big goals, Ariel, and the sky's the limit for you. And speaking of that, let's end with what your future goals are.
First off, I want to get into college, and I want to become a mechanical engineer, and then start designing my own cars so that they're easier to work on. That's for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I can be your first client, if you want
Yeah.
the first test client.
Yes, sir.
All right, sounds good. So that wraps up this episode of Somos Sunnyside. Hasta la próxima.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Somos Sunnyside. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and found it entertaining. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe and share our podcast with la comunidad. For updates on future episodes and more, be sure to follow us on social media and visit our website at susd12.org. We appreciate your support and can't wait to have you back for the next episode. Hasta la próxima vez en Somos Sunnyside.